We're coming to you live from the Crunchy Red Fruit Tiki Bar. We're broadcasting from an undisclosed location, and we're here to just enjoy some wines. We're here to talk about this next release. The title of this release is Best Coast, because every one of these wines comes from a producer that we're really excited about on the west coast of the US. So Washington, Oregon, California. We have 2 wines from each of those places, and we're going to talk through them here in just a second. We're going to really focus on wines that are low intervention, as with all Crunchy Red Fruit releases, is that these wines are farmed organically. They are distinctly made in a way that is less intervening and less chemical driven than a lot of mass market wines. We're going to start here with Seth and Audrey Kitsky's wine. This is Upside Down Wine is the name of their winery. They work out of Yakima Valley in Tri-Cities. And this is from fruit coming from a high-altitude vineyard near Red Mountain. Marsanne-Roussane is awesome because it's a very textured, very rich blend, both these grapes. And they do really well in Washington, and sometimes they can be a little bit heavy or a little bit over the top. When you increase the altitude and go high altitude with it, it allows you to retain acidity because the nights are even colder with high altitude. And so the grapes retain nice, bright acidity and help keep the otherwise rich wine nice and fresh on the palate. So you start with these butterscotchy, golden apple and apricot notes, but then it finishes with a nice hint of Meyer lemon and some wonderful tartness. This next wine is coming from Oregon. This is the Johan Vineyards Disco Chicken. You can see this label's just totally over the top and ridiculous, but we love it. And this is made from a blend of Austrian grape varieties, so Zweigelt, Blaufränkisch, and Saint Laurent, as well as a little bit of Pinot Noir. And all these varieties are showing to do really well in the Willamette Valley. We have 2 Willamette Valley wines here, in fact, but neither of them are a straight red Pinot Noir. And that's just a testament to how well this place can do with lots of different grapes. Love the nose on this. It's strawberries, it's cranberries, it's fresh red fruit. And then on the palate, it's cool because it's got this wonderful creamy texture, almost a lactic quality, like raspberry or strawberry yogurt. And when you think about rosé and spicy food together, it's just a match made in heaven. So I would think a spicy Italian style pasta like aglio, olio, peperoncino would be a really cool pairing with this. In fact, it is. I made it the other night. It was delicious. So hope you enjoy the Disco Chicken. It's just yummy in all senses of the word. We're going to go to California now for our next 2. We're starting with a wine made from Valdegues. And Valdegues is a little bit of an obscure grape variety, but there's a lot of it planted in California. This is coming from Cruse Wine Company, and this is a North Coast Valdegues blend. There's some other things in here like Carignan, but Valdegues is the main grape. Valdegues, what does it taste like? I would say it's like spicy Pinot Noir. It's got that sort of red fruit raspberry thing that Pinot Noir has. But then it also adds in these wonderful sort of toasted earthy spice notes like toasted cardamom, and you get this savory note of rosemary and thyme. There's a reason this wine is so good with chicken, because it hits that textural note of medium-bodied red that's juicy and refreshing without being heavy, but then it has those herbal notes. So if you're doing like a herb roasted chicken, this is absolutely perfect. This is from Cruse Wine Company, made by Michael Cruse, and their wines are just fantastic. Low intervention, really pretty. This is from Sturm Wine Company. The Sturm Wine Company is working with this wine out of the San Benito Valley, which is inland from Monterey, and we're working with a little bit more obscure grape variety here called Negrette, which is from southwest France outside of Toulouse. And it's usually grown in a region called Fronton in southwest France. Negrette is really interesting because it's ramping up that body that we had in the Cruse wine, which is a little bit softer and lighter, and going to a fuller bodied, more intensely fruited wine. And one thing I noticed off this Negrette at first, this is called Los Chuchaquis Bandido, made by Sturm Wine Company. I noticed baked fruit, like fig and fig jam and baked raspberries, and that really intense core of fruit. There's a little Zinfandel in here too, which is bolstering that sense of baked and cooked fruit. You'll notice how tannic this wine is. It's got some serious grip, and a wonderful dusty, gritty, rustic finish. I think this would be such a killer barbecue or burger wine. You should definitely check it out. Okay, for our last two reds, we're gonna go to Washington, Oregon, and we're gonna have a Syrah from both places. Oregon Syrah, not really a category you think of a lot, but this Dionystic Syrah that we're gonna taste first is a great example of it. This is from Golden Cluster, and the winemaker is Jeff Beer. He's a guy who's worked in all sides of the wine industry, in restaurants and winemaking and wine sales. And this is his winery, and his passion is showing what old varieties or old grapevines in Willamette Valley can do. And this is Syrah that was planted a couple decades ago. Some of the oldest vine Syrah in all of the Pacific Northwest, let alone Willamette Valley. And this is interesting because how savory this wine is. When I first smelled it, I thought it was whole cluster, where you take the grapes and the grape clusters and you put the whole thing in the fermenter crushed together, and those clusters give off savory notes. This is not whole cluster. This is all destemmed Syrah that's then mixed with a little bit of dried Viognier orange wine skins in the fermenter. So when he's done with his orange wine fermentation, he takes the Viognier skins that are left over and tosses a few of those into the Syrah fermenter with this wine, and it gives off these gorgeous, exotic, floral and spice notes. To me, it's not just the typical Syrah of black pepper and blackened brew fruit, but it also has this cool like toasted turmeric and curry and fenugreek and sumac thing going on that I think is so interesting. It's very peppery and savory. This would be a killer partner for lamb or for steam burgers. If you check out our recipe, we have the Canard Portland steam burger recipe. They're kind of like these little smash burgers that are an ode to the White Castle burger, but they're done really refined and beautiful. And there's a recipe posted for them. So you should check that out with the Golden Cluster Syrah. Another sommelier turned winemaker here, this is Greg Harrington, who used to run wine programs for Emerald and run wine programs for Wolfgang Puck. And now he started his own winery, Gramercy Cellars. They've been going for a while now, since about 2005, and this is their 2016 Walla Valley Syrah. Greg is a big fan of whole cluster fermentation, so this is one that is getting clusters and grapes put together in the fermenter, and you'll get that wonderful green olive and green peppercorn note coming off of this. Oof, so aromatic, so earthy. Different than a lot of Washington Syrah. A lot of Washington Syrah and a lot of Washington Cab are big fruit bombs. So this is a wine that gives you a little bit of savory note as well as that fruit. Killer. Very savory, even salty on the palate, like salted plum. I love this wine. Very much in the category of a wine that you should pair with lamb. So like roasted rack of lamb would be at home with this. I love this release. I'm really excited about all these winemakers and all this wine. I hope that you'll find something here that you love. If you have any questions about food pairing or music pairing or just want to talk wine, feel free to reach out to us at circle@crunchyredfruit.com. We'd love to help you out. Cheers, everybody, and thank you for being a member of the Circle.